This is by far the most well-known and extensively studied dinosaur that exists, making it a window not only into other dinosaurs but also into the deep past of our planet as a whole. Get ready to see the monstrous Tyrannosaurus Rex as a real animal, born, grew, and died, living one of the most difficult and surprising lives that science has been able to reconstruct. This is the story of the evolution of the Tyrannosaurus Rex. In the extreme north of the Earth, the polar bear lives, weighing nearly a ton and standing over 3 meters tall when on its feet. It is significantly larger than any other terrestrial predator, today's largest. Its extreme size reflects an equally extreme lifestyle, living not on land but on the frozen oceans of the Arctic. This is because its primary prey are marine mammals like pinnipeds. They are even capable of swimming for days, being extremely adept in water, which makes them semi-aquatic. This makes sense since other predators larger than it live are strongly associated with aquatic environments, such as the largest crocodiles, orcas, and sperm whales. In water, the difference in density between the animal's body and the medium it lives in is so small that weight no longer limits evolution. This allows aquatic animals to grow much larger than their terrestrial counterparts. But as far as we know, Tyrannosaurus Rex was not a semi-aquatic animal, which makes the existence of a terrestrial predator with its proportions even more astonishing. Animals like the Tyrannosaurus are not normal. Despite being famous, there were very few moments and places in the age of dinosaurs that supported megatheropods as extreme as it was, biological rarities. Never before, and very likely never again, will such a predator of this size exist on planet Earth. Between 1900 and 1902, Barnum Brown, assistant curator at the American Museum of Natural History, located and unearthed 34 bones from a theropod dinosaur different from anything known from the rich Cretaceous of the American West. In 1905, it was described and named Tyrannosaurus Rex by Henry Osborn, the museum president, with the meaning King of Terrible Lizards, which gave it the fame of the King of the Dinosaurs. But it wasn't until the 1960s that there was an explosion of interest in exploring and researching fossils from the region, and in just a few decades, more than 40 new skeletons, some very complete, were discovered. The specimen nicknamed Sue is the most complete of all, with only a few bones missing, but essentially recovered in its entirety. From the 1980s and 1990s, a digital revolution in paleontology allowed scientists to answer questions about the t.rex that were once considered unanswerable. In the more than 100 years that this animal has permeated the imagination and popular culture, it has undergone many interpretations, becoming increasingly closer to a scientifically accurate appearance. At first, it had a round head and an upright posture, dragging its tail. Then it moved to a more horizontal posture, with a more curved head, but still thin and tall. Finally, we reach the current representations of the animal, extremely slow and muscular with a lowered body and likely feathers. Part of this came with the discovery of the gastralia in the abdomen, a second set of ribs that supported the muscles, giving the skeleton a much wider appearance. But how did we get here? Let's understand where the evidence lies that shows T-Rex had this appearance by analyzing its body and skeleton in depth. This was an animal, on average as heavy as 4 of the largest African elephants, around 8 tons, with its biggest individual, the gigantic Scotty, weighing an estimated 9 tons. A bipedal animal carrying all this weight with a height of 4 meters and a length of 12 meters when fully grown. At the front, a proportionally large and wide head supported by a short and muscular neck. The famous tiny arms of the T.rex had 2 inward-facing fingers, and although they were the size of a human arm, they were much stronger and certainly not useless. Its extremely muscular hind limbs ended in wide, large and cushioned paws, adapted for muddy terrain and to minimize the noise it made while moving, much like the pads on a cat's paw. Its body ended with a long, muscular and rigid tail at the tip, which counterbalanced the animal's weight and served as a fat storage. In general, we realize that it was an extremely robust and muscular animal, with incredible strength when compared to other megatheropods like the largest spinosaurids and carcharodontosaurids. The T-Rex stands out for being the shortest, but by far the heaviest. It is also the most well-known and complete among the giant hunters, which means we know more about its appearance and hunting method than the others. At over 15 meters long, we know that Spinosaurus was significantly longer than Tyrannosaurus Rex, but its slender body made it much lighter. This was a necessary adaptation for its lifestyle along riverbanks, fishing for huge fish, like a gigantic heron. Its conical teeth and long, curved hydrodynamic snout are evidence of this lifestyle. Meanwhile, Giganotosaurus and Carcharodontosaurus, two closely related predators that dominated South America and Africa respectively, were also longer than the T-Rex, over 14 meters long, but their bodies were taller and their heads were flatter, like an axe, adapted to delivering fast bites with their knife-like teeth, which would make their prey bleed to death. If we compare the skulls of these three animals from a top-down view, we can see how wide the skull of the Tyrannosaurus Rex was, a feature repeated throughout its body, making it at least 2 tons heavier than the Giganotosaurus or Spinosaurus. One of the most iconic features of the T-Rex anatomy are its disproportionately small arms, which have been ridiculed throughout history. For a long time, they were considered useless for any practical purpose, simply a vestigial feature that evolution didn't completely eliminate. However, upon studying the muscle insertions, we realized that these arms were actually incredibly robust and capable of generating tremendous pulling force, meaning they might have been used for stabilizing itself while grabbing prey, or even during mating. Additionally, when young, these arms were proportionally much larger and more functional, growing less than the rest of the body as the animal matured, which led to their smaller size in adulthood. But it's not just their size that catches attention. The fact that they had only 2 short fingers is also fascinating. Most theropod dinosaurs have 3 fingers, but if we take a close look at the anatomy of the Tyrannosaurus Rex, we can see the beginning of a 3rd evolutionary diminished finger in the bones of its hands. However, this trend of reduced arm size and finger count actually occurred in other theropod lineages even more dramatically than in T-Rex. For example, the abelisaurids, a carnivorous lineage that thrived in Africa and South America during the Cretaceous, had even smaller arms with no articulation or strength, leading many scientists to speculate that their function, if any, might have been related to sexual display. Among smaller, lesser-known theropods, like the alvarezsaurids, the arms became extremely strong, but many species of these dinosaurs had only a single finger with a large, robust claw adapted for breaking into insect colonies. This could have been similar to the long snouts of modern anteaters, which use their claws to extract insects from tight spaces. Interestingly, T-Rex shared a few features with these smaller predators: the use of large claws and a long snout, a common adaptation for insectivores focused on hunting colonial insects like termites. Researchers have suggested that the small arms of T-Rex might have helped balance its massive head and body, reducing awkwardness and making it more agile. Curiously, during the late Cretaceous, a lineage of large theropods closely related to T-Rex thrived in South America, known as megaraptors, which had enormous arms and small heads. These were 10-meter-long predators, comparable in size to the famous Allosaurus from the Jurassic period, and they may have had some of the same characteristics that T-Rex developed, albeit with a different evolutionary solution. But it's not just about size and power. While T-Rex's brain wasn't the largest among dinosaurs, it was highly specialized. Paleontologists have worked on digital mapping of its skull to understand the structure of its brain. This has allowed us to form a pretty accurate picture of how T-Rex's brain worked. One feature that stands out is the cochlea, which suggests it had a very sensitive sense of hearing, particularly to low-frequency sounds. This likely made it highly aware of its prey's presence, even from great distances. The olfactory bulbs were also incredibly developed, indicating an acute sense of smell, one of the most powerful olfactory systems among all dinosaurs. Together, these sensory abilities made T-Rex an extremely effective predator, capable of detecting prey from miles away. The brain structure of T-Rex was also larger for its size compared to other dinosaurs, which points to the idea that intelligence and sensory skills were key components of its life. Its cognitive abilities were likely comparable to modern corvids, like crows and parrots, which are known for their remarkable intelligence, ability to use tools, and complex social structures. This suggests that T-Rex wasn't just about brute strength. It was capable of using tactical strategies, and could have even hunted in groups, much like modern-day wolves and lions. Its senses, coupled with its strategic intelligence, would have allowed it to execute complex ambushes, hunting at night or when its prey was unaware, capitalizing on its massive size and powerful jaws. In addition to its hearing and smell, T-Rex had extraordinary vision. Its eyes were the largest among any dinosaur, and perhaps the largest eyes of any terrestrial animal to have ever lived. What's even more fascinating is that these eyes may have had a reflective layer to help them see in low light, much like an owl, which suggests that T-Rex may have been a nocturnal predator, active at night when other predators weren't around. This incredible eyesight would have allowed it to track its prey even in dim light, further enhancing its hunting abilities. What's even more remarkable about the T-Rex's vision is that it had binocular vision, allowing its eyes to overlap significantly, giving it a superb depth perception. This ability to judge the distance and depth of its prey made it an even more efficient hunter. Unlike other dinosaurs which had more lateral fields of vision, T-Rex could accurately judge the distance to its prey and attack with deadly precision. Its skull was also uniquely designed for handling the enormous forces exerted by its massive bite. The cranial structure of T-Rex was incredibly strong, and its jaw muscles were developed to produce the most powerful bite force ever seen in any land animal. The bite could exert over 1,400 kilograms of force per tooth, enough to crush bones and break through the toughest hides. T-Rex's teeth were not like those of other theropods, which had knife-like teeth for slicing. Instead, its teeth were more banana-shaped, thick and curved backward, with small serrations at the edges, perfect for crushing and tearing flesh and bone. These teeth weren't just used for tearing up its prey, they were reinforced deep within its skull, meaning that they could withstand the enormous pressure of a powerful bite without breaking. In fact, if one of its teeth broke off, it would be replaced almost immediately by a new one. This constant replenishment of teeth ensured that T-Rex always had a full set of functional teeth, ready for hunting at all times. Beyond its jaw strength and powerful bite, T-Rex also exhibited impressive hunting tactics. Evidence shows that the animal likely hunted in ambushes, using its excellent vision and acute hearing to track and wait for the perfect moment to strike. The powerful jaws and immense force behind them would have been devastating to any prey, allowing it to take down even the largest herbivores like Triceratops and Edmontosaurus. The physical evidence found in fossilized bones supports this, with bite marks on the remains of these dinosaurs, showing that the T-Rex likely attacked vulnerable areas, such as the neck and spinal cord, to immobilize its prey quickly. Interestingly, T-Rex didn't rely solely on brute strength. While it was capable of running up to 30 kilometers per hour, about 19 miles per hour, studies suggest it didn't need to chase down its prey very often. Instead, it likely stalked its prey until it was close enough to strike, utilizing its stealth to get the upper hand. This method of ambush would have been more energy efficient, allowing the T-Rex to conserve its massive energy reserves for a final lethal attack. In fact, T-Rex's speed wasn't as critical as its ability to ambush its prey, like a tiger hunting its target. Rather than chasing after prey like a cheetah, T-Rex likely relied on its strength, size, and tactics to bring down the biggest animals in its ecosystem. Fossils of Edmontosaurus, a prey species, have been found with T-Rex teeth embedded in their vertebrae, suggesting that once the predator made a successful attack, the prey was often immobilized quickly due to the force of the bite. As we examine these hunting tactics, we also uncover a crucial detail about T-Rex's health and survival, the constant injuries it sustained throughout its life. Fossil evidence indicates that many individuals had bite marks from other T-Rex, showing that these massive creatures would often engage in combat for territory, mates, or even food. These scars, especially on the face and neck, provide evidence of intense social dynamics and competition among members of the species. These fights were often violent, resulting in deep gashes, broken bones, and sometimes life-threatening injuries. Now let's take a step back and examine the environmental factors that contributed to the rise and fall of T-Rex. T-Rex lived during the late Cretaceous period, around 66 million years ago, at the very end of the age of the dinosaurs. This period was a time of drastic change on Earth. The climate was warmer, and the continent of North America was divided by the Western Interior Seaway, a shallow body of water that separated the eastern and western parts of the continent. The landscape was lush with dense forests, filled with flowering plants and a vast array of herbivorous dinosaurs like Triceratops and Edmontosaurus, which provided an abundant food supply for T-Rex. The world of T-Rex wasn't just a world of predation and survival, it was also a world of co-evolution. This is where the T-Rex's evolutionary relationships become even more intriguing. Many scientists have long speculated that T-Rex may have had more in common with modern birds than we previously thought. The genetic connection between birds and dinosaurs like T.rex has been supported by recent studies showing that, like birds, T.rex may have shared some key behaviors, including nesting, parental care, and even the possibility of herding. Interestingly, the skeletal structure of T.rex has shown signs of being adapted for rapid growth, allowing it to become the massive predator it was. As the animal grew, it would have experienced periods of intense development, much like modern birds, which are known for their rapid early life growth. Now, let's dig into the fascinating evolutionary history that led to the rise of T.rex. In the Middle Jurassic, a small predator called Proceratosaurus marked the beginning of the Tyrannosaur family tree, a lineage that would later evolve into one of the most dominant groups of predators to ever walk the Earth. However, it wasn't until the late Cretaceous that T.rex truly emerged as the apex predator, dominating its ecosystem with unrivaled strength and intelligence. As we trace the evolutionary timeline of T.rex, we find that it shares a distant common ancestor with Spinosaurus, Giganotosaurus, and other large theropods. However, unlike these species, T.rex evolved to be heavier, stronger, and more resilient, allowing it to thrive in an environment where competition for food was fierce and survival required extreme adaptations. The evolutionary path of T.rex and its ancestors. The early tyrannosaurs were not the giants we think of today. In fact, they were relatively small predators compared to the massive T.rex that would eventually rule the late Cretaceous. The first tyrannosaurs, such as Proceratosaurus and Guanlong, were slender and fast, likely preying on smaller, more agile animals. They existed during the Jurassic period, a time when dinosaurs were still evolving and finding their ecological niches. These early tyrannosaurs were not apex predators, they were mid-level predators, focusing on smaller herbivores and early reptiles. But over time, these smaller species evolved into more specialized forms. During the Cretaceous period, the tyrannosaurids underwent significant changes. They began to grow larger, evolving into formidable predators that could take on much bigger prey. One of the key steps in this evolution was the development of a more robust skull and powerful bite, capable of handling the massive herbivores that populated their environments. As the tyrannosaurids evolved into larger, more powerful predators, T.rex emerged as the dominant apex predator in the late Cretaceous. This species was not only massive, but also evolved adaptations that made it a fearsome hunter: large, powerful legs, a muscular body, and razor-sharp teeth that allowed it to take down even the largest prey. This was a clear advantage in a world where survival depended on hunting and defense against competitors. T.rex shared its lineage with Spinosaurus and Giganotosaurus, two other large theropods, but it had specific traits that made it distinct. Unlike Spinosaurus, which had adaptations for a semi-aquatic lifestyle, T.rex was strictly terrestrial, and its physical build was designed for power, not speed. Its muscular legs and large tail provided the strength necessary to chase and overpower its prey, while its robust jaw and serrated teeth were perfect for crushing bone. T.rex's place in the ecosystem, the Hell Creek Formation, a famous fossil site in North America, is where we find some of the best preserved T.rex fossils, including one of the most famous specimens, Sue, which is one of the most complete T.rex skeletons ever discovered. The environment that T.rex inhabited was diverse, with many different species living alongside it. These species, including Triceratops, Edmontosaurus, and even the pterosaurs like Quetzalcoatlus, created a complex ecosystem where T.rex sat at the top of the food chain. As a top predator, T.rex played a critical role in maintaining balance within its ecosystem. It likely controlled populations of herbivores, ensuring that no one species became too abundant. However, the presence of other predators, such as Deinonychus and Troodon, would have provided competition for T.rex, forcing it to continually adapt and evolve its hunting tactics. One of the most interesting aspects of T.rex's behavior was its predatory strategy. While it's often depicted as a ruthless hunter, there's evidence to suggest that T.rex may have also scavenged. Fossil evidence shows that T.rex teeth have been found embedded in the bones of dead animals, which suggests it may have fed on carcasses when the opportunity arose. This would make sense, considering that large predators often take advantage of leftovers to conserve energy when hunting is not possible. However, this scavenging behavior didn't diminish its role as a top predator. It was likely both an ambush predator and a scavenger, depending on what was available. While T-Rex may have primarily hunted large herbivores, it is possible that it also hunted smaller prey during its youth, before it reached its full adult size. This theory is supported by the fact that juvenile T-Rex fossils suggest these young predators were smaller and had sharper teeth, possibly adapting to hunt smaller, faster animals such as small theropods and insects. Over time, as T-Rex grew, it would have gradually shifted to taking down larger prey, such as Triceratops and Edmontosaurus, both of which were common in its habitat. The role of environmental changes. The Cretaceous period, when T-Rex dominated the Earth, was marked by dramatic environmental changes. At the time, the planet was experiencing high sea levels, which led to the creation of many shallow seas and island-like environments. These conditions helped shape the ecosystems in which T-Rex and its prey lived. The warming climate created a lush environment, allowing for a diverse range of plant and animal life to thrive. However, the very same environmental factors that allowed T-Rex to flourish would eventually contribute to its downfall. As the Cretaceous period came to a close, the Earth began to experience a catastrophic event, the asteroid impact, that is believed to have led to the extinction of the dinosaurs, including T-Rex. This impact, which occurred approximately 66 million years ago, is thought to have released an immense amount of energy, causing global wildfires, massive tsunamis, and a nuclear winter effect that blocked out the sun. This drastic change in climate led to the extinction of the T-Rex and many other species. The world that T-Rex once ruled was suddenly no longer hospitable for such large, energy-demanding animals. The final days of the Tyrant King, the end of T-Rex's reign as the apex predator, was sudden and catastrophic. Around 66 million years ago, the Cretaceous Paleogene KPG extinction event struck the Earth with devastating consequences. The cause? A massive asteroid impact, believed to have struck near what is now the Yucatan Peninsula in Mexico. This catastrophic event had global repercussions, bringing an end to the reign of T-Rex and all other non-avian dinosaurs. When the asteroid hit, it released an unimaginable amount of energy, equivalent to billions of atomic bombs. The impact triggered massive wildfires, earthquakes, and tsunamis, and sent up a massive cloud of debris that blocked out the sun for months, if not years. This nuclear winter effect caused global temperatures to drop drastically, plunging the planet into an ice age-like condition. The T-Rex, a giant carnivore that depended heavily on a steady supply of food to sustain its massive body, would have struggled to survive in these new, harsh conditions. The large herbivores it relied on for food were also affected by the sudden environmental shifts. With fewer prey animals and a colder, darker environment, T-Rex would have found it nearly impossible to hunt. This environmental collapse likely contributed to the extinction of T-Rex and many other species. After the fall, the rise of mammals. While T-Rex and the other non-avian dinosaurs were wiped out by the asteroid impact, the mammals, which had been living in the shadows of the dinosaurs for millions of years, began to thrive. The end of the Cretaceous marked the beginning of the Cenozoic era, also known as the Age of Mammals. With no giant dinosaurs to dominate the planet, mammals began to evolve and diversify, eventually leading to the rise of large mammals like elephants, whales, and humans. It's fascinating to consider how the disappearance of T-Rex allowed for the expansion of mammals. If the asteroid impact had never happened, would mammals have evolved to become the dominant form of life on Earth? Would T-Rex and its descendants have continued to rule the planet? Or would the mammals have eventually found a way to compete? These are questions that remain unanswered, but the extinction of the dinosaurs opened up an entirely new chapter in the history of life on Earth. T-Rex's legacy, a lasting impact on culture. Though T-Rex vanished from the Earth 66 million years ago, it has left an indelible mark on our collective imagination. For generations, T-Rex has been one of the most iconic animals in popular culture, symbolizing both ferocity and power. It has appeared in countless movies, books, and television shows, with Jurassic Park being one of the most famous examples of T-Rex's lasting influence on popular media. The allure of T-Rex stems not just from its size and strength, but also from its role as a symbol of nature's untamed ferocity. It represents the wildness of the natural world, an animal that once ruled with no rivals, dominating its environment. The fascination with T-Rex has led to scientific breakthroughs in the field of paleontology as well. T-Rex fossils have provided valuable insights into the lives of dinosaurs, their behavior, and their ecosystems. One of the most significant contributions of T-Rex to modern science is the understanding of how dinosaurs were related to modern-day birds. Advances in DNA sequencing, along with the discovery of fossilized feathers, have revealed that T.rex and other theropods are closely related to birds. This discovery has reshaped our understanding of dinosaur biology, showing that many of these ancient animals were much more complex than we once thought. T.rex and modern paleontology. In the field of paleontology, T.rex is often referred to as the king of dinosaurs due to its dominant position in the fossil record. It's one of the best-known dinosaurs, thanks in large part to the large number of T.rex fossils that have been discovered over the years. With more than 50 specimens found across North America, T.rex has been studied in great detail. This has led to an unprecedented understanding of the animal, its biology, and its behavior. Advancements in digital modeling, CT scanning, and 3D reconstruction have allowed scientists to build incredibly accurate depictions of T.rex from the inside out. By scanning fossils and using computer models, researchers can study the brain, sensory organs, and even the soft tissue structures of T.rex. These technological advancements have led to a more refined understanding of how T.rex hunted, how it interacted with its environment, and how it lived its life. This new wave of digital paleontological research has helped to challenge old assumptions and correct misconceptions about T.rex. For instance, early depictions of T.rex often portrayed it as a slow-moving, lumbering giant. However, more recent research suggests that T.rex was likely capable of short bursts of speed and may have been an active hunter rather than just a scavenger. The T.rex's return evolution in action. While T.rex itself may be gone, the legacy of this fearsome predator lives on in the world today. In a way, T.rex's evolutionary descendants are still among us. Modern birds are considered the direct descendants of certain theropod dinosaurs, making them the only surviving lineage of the mighty dinosaurs that once ruled the Earth. The relationship between T.rex and birds is not just a scientific curiosity, it's a reminder of the deep connections that tie all life on Earth together. The same characteristics that made T.rex an efficient predator, such as keen eyesight, sharp vision, and advanced hunting strategies, are shared by birds today. As we delve deeper into the anatomy of the T.rex, we see not only the sheer size, but the specialized adaptations that made it the apex predator of its time. The T.rex wasn't just a large dinosaur with a terrifying bite. It had evolved in such a way that every feature was purposefully crafted to give it an edge in its predatory life. Its legs, for example, while not the longest, were incredibly muscular and well suited for explosive bursts of speed. It was not built for endurance, but for short, high-powered runs that would allow it to close in on prey quickly. The T.rex's balance was another crucial feature that allowed it to maintain its massive size while running. The tail, long and powerful, acted as a counterbalance to the weight of its head and body. The rigid tail also provided stability, especially when making quick turns or abrupt movements. This gave the T.rex a distinct advantage in ambushing prey, as it could swiftly adjust its position and strike without losing its footing. Then there's the T.rex's head, unquestionably one of the most famous and distinctive features of this dinosaur. Its large skull was equipped with an incredibly powerful jaw, capable of generating some of the strongest bite forces ever seen in the animal kingdom. The teeth were designed not just for tearing flesh, but for crushing bone, allowing the T.rex to feed on large herbivores like Triceratops and Edmontosaurus. These animals, with their tough hides and thick bones, wouldn't have been an easy meal for most predators, but the T.rex's specialized teeth were perfect for the task. Even the T.rex's eyes played a role in its predatory behavior. Positioned on the front of its head, they provided the T.rex with excellent binocular vision, giving it depth perception, an essential feature for a predator. This allowed it to judge the distance between itself and its prey with incredible precision. Furthermore, the T.rex's vision was likely adapted for low-light conditions, meaning it could have been a formidable hunter during dawn or dusk when many other animals were inactive. But the T.rex wasn't just a brute force predator, it also had an array of senses that helped it locate prey with astonishing accuracy. The T.rex's olfactory bulbs, the parts of the brain responsible for smell, were incredibly large, suggesting that it had a keen sense of smell. This would have allowed it to detect carcasses or living prey from miles away, especially given its likely ability to sniff out blood in the air. In addition to its sense of smell, the T.rex had an advanced auditory system. The shape of its skull and inner ear structure suggests that it could hear sounds at low frequencies, making it highly sensitive to the movements of other animals. In fact, it's believed that the T-Rex could hear its prey from miles away, making it an even more terrifying predator than we've previously imagined. As we continue our exploration of the T-Rex's evolutionary journey, we learn that this massive predator didn't just thrive because of its size, but because of its specialized evolutionary traits. Over time, the T-Rex became the dominant predator in its ecosystem, largely due to its incredible physical adaptations, like its powerful bite, specialized teeth, and heightened senses, including smell and hearing. This evolution allowed it to outcompete other theropods and solidify its place as the top predator in its environment. The T-Rex's physical prowess also contributed to its hunting strategies. Despite its massive size, it was likely capable of swift, strategic attacks. Its speed, though not built for long chases, allowed it to close the gap with prey in short bursts. The T-Rex was an ambush predator, waiting for the right moment to strike with deadly force. Its enormous teeth, capable of crushing bone, ensured that it could take down large herbivores like Triceratops and Edmontosaurus, even as they fought back with their own defenses. T-Rex's behavior was as complex as its anatomy. While it was undoubtedly a solitary predator, new research hints that it may have had some social behaviors, possibly even hunting in small groups during certain times of its life. As a juvenile, it may have hunted smaller prey, moving through various stages of growth until it reached its fearsome adult size, transitioning from a nimble hunter to a massive apex predator. Despite its terrifying presence, T-Rex reign came to an end 66 million years ago, when a cataclysmic event, the asteroid impact that caused the mass extinction, wiped out this once dominant predator. The T-Rex, like so many other species, became a part of Earth's past. However, its legacy lives on in the fossil record, in our imagination, and in our understanding of evolutionary biology. The T-Rex may no longer rule the Earth, but its existence tells us an incredible story about survival, evolution, and the natural world. From its towering stature to its deadly bite, the T-Rex was an apex predator, finely tuned by nature to rule its environment. As we continue to uncover more about these ancient giants, we gain a deeper appreciation for the complexity and wonder of life on Earth, both past and present. Thanks for joining me on this deep dive into the world of the T-Rex. If you enjoyed learning about this legendary dinosaur, don't forget to like, share, and subscribe for more fascinating content. What other prehistoric creatures would you like to explore next? Drop your thoughts in the comments, and let's continue unraveling the mysteries of our planet's ancient past together. Until next time, keep exploring, stay curious, and remember, the world of the dinosaurs is only a fossil away.